5 True Horrifying Real Mysteries. In the rural countryside of Germany, nestled deep in the woods, lies a farm known as Hinterkaifeck. In March 1922, this seemingly peaceful place became the scene of one of the most gruesome and perplexing mysteries in German history, the Hinterkaifeck Murders. It all began with a series of strange events. Andreas Gruber, the head of the family, had noticed footprints in the snow leading toward his house, but none leaving. Mysterious sounds echoed from the attic, but when he checked, there was nothing there. Despite the unnerving signs, the Gruber family continued with their daily lives. But this decision would soon prove fatal. When neighbors noticed that the family had not been seen for days, they visited the farm and stumbled upon a horrifying scene. In the barn lay 4 members of the family, including Andreas, all stacked in a pile, beaten to death with a pickaxe. Inside the house, the bodies of Andreas's wife and the maid were discovered in similar fashion. The brutality of the murders was unmatched, shocking all who witnessed the scene. Investigators determined that the killer, or killers, stayed in the house for days after the murders. Neighbors reported seeing smoke from the chimney, and food had been eaten from the family's pantry. The chilling realization sank in: the murderer had lived among the dead. Theories surrounding the case are as bizarre as the murders themselves. Some say it was a local with a grudge against Andreas Gruber. Others point to Andreas's rumored incestuous relationship with his daughter, Victoria, suggesting a revenge motive. Some even believe a vagrant could have wandered onto the farm and carried out the killings. But nothing has ever been proven. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain an unsolved enigma, a tale of horror that still chills to the bone. Who could commit such a brutal crime and vanish without a trace? The answers are buried in the past, and to this day, the quiet fields of Hinterkaifeck hold their dark, unspeakable secret. On Christmas Eve, 1945, in the quiet town of Fayetteville, West Virginia, the Sodder family was about to face a nightmare that would haunt them forever. George and Jenny Sodder, along with their 10 children, were sound asleep when, around 1 a.m., a fire broke out, engulfing their home in flames. In a desperate rush, George and Jenny managed to escape with 4 of their children. But 5 of their children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, were nowhere to be found. George tried to re-enter the house to save them, but strange obstacles prevented him from reaching them. A ladder he always kept nearby was missing. His trucks wouldn't start, and the phone line to the house had been cut. As the flames consumed the house, the Sodders could do nothing but watch, fearing the worst. But when the fire finally burned out, there were no remains of the children. Not a trace. No bones, no ashes, nothing to indicate they had perished in the fire. Investigators found it highly unusual that an entire family's remains could be so thoroughly erased. Over the years, the Sodders received chilling clues. They would spot children who looked like their missing kids. They even received a strange photograph that bore a striking resemblance to their son, Louis. Some speculated that the children had been kidnapped, a theory bolstered by George's vocal opposition to the Italian dictator Mussolini, which may have angered local mafia connections. Was it a kidnapping? A cover-up? Or something more sinister? Decades later, the mystery remains. The Sodder Children's Disappearance is a haunting tale of family tragedy, a case that continues to defy explanation. What really happened to the Sodder children on that fateful Christmas Eve? In 1959, 9 experienced hikers embarked on an expedition through the Ural Mountains in what was supposed to be an adventure to remember. Led by Igor Dyatlov, the group set out to conquer Dead Mountain, but what awaited them remains one of the most chilling and mysterious cases in history. When the hikers didn't return on schedule, search parties were sent out, and what they found was nothing short of disturbing. The hikers' tent had been ripped open, from the inside. Personal belongings, shoes, and clothing were left behind. The bodies of the hikers were discovered scattered in various locations around the camp, in varying states of undress. Some had died of hypothermia, but others had injuries so severe, it was compared to the impact of a car crash. Yet there were no external wounds or evidence of trauma. One hiker was found without a tongue. Some of the bodies had strange orange skin and white hair, leading to theories of radiation exposure. Adding to the mystery, there were reports of strange lights seen in the sky during the same time. Theories about what happened range from an avalanche or military involvement to more supernatural explanations, including UFO encounters or secret Soviet experiments. Despite multiple investigations, no definitive cause has been determined. The mystery of the Dyatlov Pass continues to fascinate and terrify people around the world, leaving us to wonder, what really happened that night in the mountains? On the morning of September 20, 1988, 19-year-old Tara Calico set out on her daily bike ride near her home in Belen, New Mexico. This ride was routine for Tara, who often used the time to clear her mind. Before leaving, she told her mother that if she hadn't returned by noon, she should come looking for her. That time came and went, and Tara never returned. Her mother, concerned, set out to search for her. The only traces she found were the broken pieces of Tara's Walkman and a cassette tape scattered along the side of the road. It was as if Tara had simply vanished without a trace. Then, in 1989, an eerie clue surfaced over 1,000 miles away in Port St. Joe, Florida. A Polaroid photograph was discovered lying in a convenience store parking lot. The photo showed a young woman and a boy lying bound and gagged in the back of a van. The girl in the photo bore a haunting resemblance to Tara, down to a scar on her leg that matched one of Tara's own. The identity of the boy remains unknown, but some suspect he may have been another missing child from New Mexico. Despite extensive searches, Tara Calico was never found. To this day, the photograph remains one of the most unsettling pieces of evidence in her case. Was it Tara, taken and held against her will? Or was it someone else entirely? The mystery of the girl in the Polaroid leaves us with a chilling question: what really happened to Tara Calico? In April 1981, in the quiet resort town of Keddie, California, a horrifying massacre shook the community. Known as the Hinterkaifeck Murders, this brutal crime took place in Cabin 28, leaving 4 people dead under the most disturbing and mysterious circumstances. On the morning of April 12, 14-year-old Sheila Sharp returned home from a sleepover to a nightmare. Inside her family's cabin, her mother, Glenna Sue Sharp, her brother, and his friend lay dead in the living room, bound and brutally attacked. The scene was gruesome, with signs of extreme violence that indicated a deeply personal attack. In a nearby bedroom, 2 of Sue's younger sons and their friend were found alive and unharmed, oblivious to the horror that had occurred just feet away. The victims had been tied with electrical cords, stabbed, and bludgeoned. Blood had soaked through the floors, and the tools used in the killings, knives and a hammer, were left behind. Investigators found a bloody footprint, handprints, and multiple leads, but despite this, no suspects were ever charged. Years later, an audio recording surfaced, allegedly capturing a man's confession to the crime. Yet even this lead failed to bring answers. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged. Some believe the murders were a revenge act connected to Sue's personal life, while others think it may have been a random act of terror or even a local cover-up. The Kitty Cabin murders remain one of California's most haunting unsolved mysteries, a case that continues to chill those who seek the truth. The question still lingers: who committed these horrific murders, and why was the truth left buried?